Good morning. Welcome to My Left Ear. I am Carrie Freeman, and it is Wednesday, February 2nd. I had to think for a minute. I had to look. And this is video 75. Right now, it's entitled Trump is Failing, because I may add to it, I'm learning new skills. So this YouTube channel is democratic, a little progressive. I would call myself a moderate. So it's not meant for MAGAs. And if you like Donald Trump and you voted, you won't like my channel. So I just say move on and enjoy your day. So I call myself a change agent because I help people change. I help people achieve goals of all kinds, creative and then just habits. So I've been a clinical hypnotherapist for over 20 years, but I also do something called psychic coaching. And you should watch video 34 because you might find it really interesting. And my video on hypnotherapy, therapeutic hypnosis, is video 10. So you might do that. Now, if you visit me and you haven't subscribed, it would help me if you liked and you subscribed. So thank you. And lastly, this is for entertainment purposes only. So here we start. My left ear, because, I guess I should explain this. I get information and guidance through my left ear. Case in point, I was sitting with my neighbor the other day. She's an actress. And I said, oh, you're going to get a job. And she got the job. She got the job about a week later. And she's doing a week on a TV series. So that came in, and it was very simple. It was like, oh, Amanda's going to get an acting job. So she called me and said, well, I got the job. So, all right, so that's what happens to me. So my left ear. So says, when Trump gets indicted, not if, when. Now, I got this a week ago before he did his Saturday rally. And I said, if he gets indicted, riots will form. So he made that call this week. Famous rally on Saturday where he admitted his guilt, whether he knew it or not, because many of us don't think he's very bright. And, you know, the DOJ is aware. So I just wanted to note that we do have to keep an eye on this, because people will be, some people will be outraged when he gets indicted. And people tend to think, me included, that Georgia and the wonderful Attorney General in Georgia, Fani Willis, is putting together a special grand jury. Now she's worried. So she wrote the FBI, she contacted the FBI and said, you need to protect our environment when we're working with the special grand jury. And when she did that, then she really came out and had to admit, we are investigating, blah, blah, blah. So Trump, he flip-flops because he's so frightened and manic. So 1 minute he's conciliatory, meaning he's going to offer pardons and it's not fair if he runs, if he's elected, which, I don't want to swear, but it's BS. Okay, I'd love to say it, but it's not ladylike. It's BS. He's not going to run and he's not going to get elected. But this is what he was saying. So that's the flip-flop. And then the next thing, he's fomenting violence. Take to the streets, do everything you can to protect me. I didn't ask the Ruse this question, so I'm going to save that for next time. I'm not even going to tell you. So Fani Willis, as I said, announces formal criminal investigation into Trump's voter fraud, tampering, which we have on record, which we have recorded. And as I said, she asked the FBI for special protection. so that this can move forward. Now, in regard to Trump, this might be out of alignment, but I'm flipping here, that there's a reminder about something that I've talked about on and off, Wall Street and this big, I don't know, faux company that Trump has talked about. And this is the reminder. While Trump's new media company has an imputed value of well over $10 billion, it still has no products, no users, and no revenue. That's all I want to say about that. It has got to be investigated. It has got to come down. It's crazy. Now, there were news reports that it is being investigated. None of this happens in our time. It happens in their time. Now, in terms of Ukraine and Putin has really boxed himself into a corner, whatever his intentions have been, whether to be to intimidate. I talked about entitlement. Well, Putin feels entitled to Ukraine. He just feels, well, that should be mine. I'm going to take it. But now he's in a corner, and it looks like there has to be some negotiations to let him out of this threat without him losing face. Putin doesn't want to lose face. So the winds are against Putin in regard to Ukraine. And I did say last video, I think that even if he tries to invade, 5 countries are going to swoop in. And a lot of countries are giving artillery and machinery and all kinds of stuff to Ukraine right now. New stories are coming on all fronts. We haven't heard everything yet. And there are more traitors to be named. And that's my left ear. That's a little message from my left ear. So the assistant DOJ, Miss Monaco, confirmed the investigation into electoral forgery. The fake electors that filled out forms, put them in the mail and a stamp, and that's wire fraud and maybe more. So very audacious, and the special grand jury is forming about that also. Well, maybe not in a special grand jury. I take that back, because this is the DOJ, not Georgia. So we'll see about that. And I just want to say something about Mitch McConnell, who I don't like and I don't like to talk about. I can't listen to his voice. Really, can you imagine in your life, whatever you've done, that your entire job is to obstruct? I mean, really, that's been his entire job. And when recently it was communicated in public by Joe Biden, what are the GOP for? Well, nobody can answer that. Even Mitch McConnell. I'll have to think about that. Come on. You've been in politics for 100 years. You're one of the heads of the GOP, and you've got to think about what the platform is. Well, I'll tell you, it's to obstruct. That's what the platform is. So, Mitch made this huge mistake. He was really on board for pulling the GOP from the January 6th committee, and that backfired on him. And Kevin McCarthy and McConnell, they lost some of their strength and their power, because basically they turned it over to the Democrats. And then Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger joined, 2 GOP members. So they want to shut down, someone, I don't know whether it's the RNC, but now they're looking into how can they get rid of Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. And I did do some runes on that, and I lost it. Oh, here it is. Thank you. I got the rune of journey. There's journey. I know people like me to hold it up. And the journey is an issue that has two sides, of course, that's true. Obstructions give way, so they don't hold up. Material advantages must not weigh heavily on this journey. And obviously Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger don't have material concerns because they've stepped into a situation where they're willing to give up everything. And Adam is not running again. So he has nothing to lose, and he's got a huge future ahead of him. Watch. The message here is they must do what is right, and they will continue to do what is right. So the end is in sight, and joy is involved, okay? Then we got the strength card. The life you have been living has outgrown its form. So certainly life for Liz Cheney is different. Life for Adam Kinzinger is different. But I have to tell you, she has really taken in a lot of money. Now, there's plenty against her in Wyoming, but she has taken in a lot of campaign money, which is really good. And it says, so I was okay, so strength, sorry, losing focus here, strength. It's their strength, but strength says the life you have been living has outgrown its form. That would be true. That's not necessarily a negative. Something must die so new energy can be released. So, you know, the bad part of the GOP must die, truly, must end. And it says opportunity disguised as loss. So that is Burkana. Opportunity disguised as loss. I do not think that they will be removed. We do not think they will be removed, okay? Now I want to go back because I did do a question. Before the question, I'm a little bit scattered, so bear with me. I've got a conference call in 20 minutes, so that was on my mind. My left ear. Trump is losing ground. Not a lot yet, but he's losing ground. And some of his rank and file voters are getting bored. There's these small fissures, even though he still has a grip on the GOP. But the GOP are really between a rock and a hard place. I don't think they want him, but they're afraid. They're still afraid. But more people are beginning to speak up a little bit. And Saturday's rally, this last Saturday, Trump was more aggressive, more manic with his call to violence. You can see and feel his desperation. That's a good thing. He doesn't make good decisions anyway, but when people are desperate, they make a lot of bad decisions. So Trump is losing ground. Trump is failing. He's amassing money. So I did a rune. Where is the DOJ? Where is the DOJ? So the first one I got was Gateway, but the opposite, the reversed. Oh no, I didn't get reversed in Gateway. That's Gateway. And it says there's still work to be done. We're in process. No shit. It is a rune of non-action. So it speaks of this passiveness that we feel from DOJ. But I wanted to know about surveillance. And the non-action rune in Gateway speaks of surveillance, which is passive. Wiretapping is passive. And it talks about what is hidden. So those things are hidden. So the DOJ is looking for what's hidden, okay? And we don't even know what that is. Then we got the blank rune, which upsets a lot of people, but it is potential. It's blank because there's nothing there. It always freaks people out a little bit. Because it brings up our deepest fears when you don't know something. We've never been here before with a president, with a revolt, and people trying to end democracy. We've never been here before. But I tell you what, the final rune here is Berkana. And Berkana is growth. So that's really good. It fosters growth, and yes, it will lead to something. So I can't tell you exactly where the DOJ is, but he's working. And it does say with Berkana growth, the one I just showed you, that it can involve affairs of the world. So with right action, blossoming can occur. So we are frustrated by the DOJ. Almost everybody who cares is frustrated. But this is a really good omen with the runes. So we're just gonna have to practice patience, because what else is there to do? Do you know what I mean? Will Cheney and Kissinger be removed by the GOP? It's an issue that has two sides. It says obstructions give way. The life of you've been living and I was grown in self. And I said that's true of both of them. It does mention partnership. Partnership in some form is at hand in regard to Cheney and Kissinger. And they're going to be successful, okay? That's the bottom line, that's what I want to say. You probably heard about the crackpot effort by Trump and his posse to seize, that means steal, the voting machines right after the election. And some people actually said, no, I'm not going to do that, Mr. President. They rejected it. Even Rudy Giuliani rejected it, and Barr refused. Kind of shocking, but that's it. My left ear thinks Rudy Giuliani is going to flip on Trump. He has a lot of information, a lot of things to confirm. But I threw the runes, and I took one rune, which is the rune of initiation. There we go. Initiation. And it says something is hidden. Of course, something is hidden. And it talks about, this is my interpretation, this is my left ear, that this rune of initiation is associated to the phoenix who consumes itself in the fire, which Giuliani has, and then rises from its own ashes. I say yes, Giuliani's going to flip, and it's going to help the commission. This is another guy I don't like to talk about, but he's such a flip-flopper. Lindsey Graham, he made a bogus comment about he doesn't believe in the pardons that Trump talked about. He shouldn't pardon anybody, and that we should throw the book at them. But this is very typical Lindsey. He'll, tomorrow he could be praising Trump. So I don't know what he's up to, but he is being investigated. So you don't know what some of these press statements are and what they want to get out of those press statements. I've been thinking about the racism and the fear that some people have that the United States is becoming too homogenized. And it speaks to the inability of many citizens to adapt to change, adapt to a blended society. And so anti-Semitism is on the rise. And I'm not a historian, as I've mentioned to you, but Hitler convinced the Germans that the Jews were a threat to their livelihood and their businesses because the Jews did very well. So he implanted this fear of what would happen if there would be more Jews doing more business. And that same fear is being injected now. But we have jobs report that are the best in history, so I'm not sure what people are losing. The anti-Semitism is really, really scary. When I grew up in Chicago, we lived near a suburb called Skokie. Some of you may have heard of Skokie. And I was a kid, there were Nazis, people in uniforms, Nazi uniforms, that marched through Skokie. And at the time, I was a little too young to really understand it, but I remembered it. It was a big deal. Very scary. It's beginning to happen here. Now, that being said, I can say something really good about Merrick Garland. He has set up a committee to investigate, to stop white supremacy. And I hope it's a big committee because this is a big job. This white supremacy has grown under Trump in a very scary way. Very scary. I'm going to mention Joe Rogan for a minute. Not that I would ever watch him. So, you know, he talks a lot about alternative treatments for COVID. He's advised people what to take. He's not a doctor. He's a comic, and he I guess he hosts wrestling. So Neil Young pulled all his music off of Spotify, and then Joni Mitchell pulled all her music off of Spotify. And there is one other person whose name I don't remember, and I apologize. So Joe Rogan made a 10-minute Instagram video where he was very calm, he was very pleasant. He said that from now on, he'll have more experts featured on his show after those controversial guests, and this is the solution. But what caught me is, you know, he has millions of views. I mean, millions of views and tons of money. I mean, the guy has a lot of money now. But he admitted in his 10-minute Instagram that he never does research prior to his guests. I want to repeat that. He never does research. As of today, I've been doing this for a little less than a year and a half. I always do research. Now, I missed this musician who wasn't famous to me, and I apologize for that. But generally, one of the reasons I'm weekly is because I'm doing a lot of research on what I'm doing. So I find that sinful to make that kind of money and admit, I don't do research, I just book the clients. I want to say he's lazy. He's full of hubris and ego. But one thing he did well is that when he did his Instagram, he did not let his ego or his hubris show, and he probably has handlers that gave him advice. But Spotify put out a vague message: stop the leaking. And then this is just a comment. There was a recent joke about Trump being a father and not knowing the names of his sons. And I tweeted, Trump is not a father. He is a sperm donor. The guy isn't a father. Okay, he's a sperm donor. And I do want to point out one thing about Whoopi Goldberg. I did not hear her make the comments that offended people, that got her a 2-week suspension from The View. But before she got suspended, she brought in the head of the ADL to discuss anti-Semitism. She was very humble and very sincere. I have met her. I have been around her. That's her. When I get on Patreon, I'm going to tell stories, like stories about famous people. And that's happening. All right, we're coming in. We're coming in for the landing now. And I'm looking at the clock. Oh my goodness, my phone's going to ring. Oh no. Let me get to the quotes. Be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. You have a right to be here. Desiderata. And then this is the famous playwright, Oscar Wilde. He said, the books that the world calls immoral are books that show the world its own shame. And he's not alive anymore. This is a quote from a long, long time ago. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm going to sign off because I do have this call coming in, and it's from an attorney, so I must do it. And I'm going to say, make peace, make memories. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for your notes. And I'm making progress with my tutor, but there's some really complicated things I'm learning. And so I'm adjusting. So just be patient with me, please. We're going to grow the channel. All right, you take care. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.